Great party, eh? So tell me, what do you do?
I'm a dialect coach.
Oh, you mean a dialogue coach? So you help actors learn their lines on the set of a movie or TV show?
No, not dialogue, dialect. I teach accents, mostly to actors, but I also work with other professional people.
So you know Brad Pitt?
Well, I've never worked with him, though I do sometimes work with well-known actors.
So you must know a lot of languages, eh?
Actually, my job is teaching people how various languages act on the sounds of English. I do speak some Spanish, but I teach actors how to sound as if they grew up speaking another language and now speak English, not how to speak that language.
So you must be good at being able to tell where people are from. Where am I from, eh? Can you tell?
Often I can, but it's not so simple. American English contains some difficult sounds and people from all over the world tend to change them in the same way. So I look for the unique sound differences that create a particular dialect or accent. For example, the th sounds are used in only a handful of languages, so people tend to mispronounce them in English in the same way as d or z for the voiced version, regardless of where they're from. As Americans, we associate someone who says z's and zir and ozzer with a strong French accent, so if I were coaching a client into a stereotypical French accent, I'd encourage them to use this sound change consistently.
So you must do a lot of traveling to study the accents you teach.
Actually, in most cases, I can find the samples I need by listening to sound clips on the internet. By listening to examples from several speakers of a given dialect, I can put together a one-page breakdown of the accent in order to teach it to the actor.
So, you must really hate listening to some people talk because of their horrible accents.
I try not to make judgments about people's accents. They are all interesting to me. One isn't necessarily better or worse than another, they're all different.
Oh, really? But what if I came to you and said I think British accents are really cool and sophisticated, and I really want to get rid of my stupid accent and learn to talk all Britishy all the time?
Well, it would be up to you. I'd be glad to teach you an English accent, but I'd also encourage you to consider retaining your natural sounds to use when you choose. I run into this a lot with foreign-born actors who want to learn an American accent. They often say they want to get rid of their original dialect completely, but I teach the American accent simply as another dialect that they can use when it's appropriate. Certainly there will be roles for which their natural accent will be right, and they'll want to have access to that. Believe it or not, several times, I've actually been asked to teach a Russian accent to a Russian actor, or an English accent to an English actor. It makes more sense to me to learn to flip into the appropriate accent when you want to, in the same way we all change our speech depending on whether we were talking to a child or a police officer. That's called code switching.
But what if I'm ancient? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Isn't it impossible for me to learn a new accent?
Certainly not. It just takes a little more time and effort. We all form habits of listening, so that as we age and get locked into the sounds of our own accent and language, our brain tells us what we're hearing. This makes it more difficult to hear sounds in a new accent, because we filter the new sounds through the sounds of our original language. Consequently, foreign-born people who have been in the US for decades might still hear the voiced th sound as a d, because they don't use that sound in their own language, and therefore, don't hear it being used around them. When I show them how to make the voiced th sound, by putting their tongue to the lower edge of their upper teeth and allowing some vibrated air to pass between the tongue and teeth, they start to hear and imitate the sound accurately, like in this, there and other. Children aren't yet in the habits of listening that adults are, and are much better mimics. I once had a child client to whom I taught more than 20 different accents.
Wow. I've never met anyone who does what you do. Although my former brother-in-law was a grip, or a gaffer, or a best boy. Anyway, how do you get your clients?
Often my clients will tell 2 friends, and they'll tell 2 friends, and so on, and so on. Or people find me through my website, thedialectcoach.com. There's quite a bit of information there about dialects if you are interested.
Thanks. I'll be sure to check that out in my copious spare time. One last question, why does a producer decide to hire you? Don't actors come preloaded with all the accents they will ever need?
Of course not. An English-born actor might be cast in an American role, or an American to play a Brit. Their training might not have included highly specific dialect work, and I can help them both prepare for the role and be on set when they are filming to be sure the accent stays consistent and understandable. This relieves the actor of having to listen to themselves as they perform and frees them to do their best work. One actor who was preparing to play a great American orator worked by himself for days on end, trying to learn this person's sound and style of delivery, and felt as if had reached a dead end. His manager suggested he work with a dialect coach, and he later told me that during our first hour together, he felt he had the tools to help him continue on his journey and eventually succeed. And because films are now produced for the global market, it is imperative that actors sound not only accurate in their dialects, but are understandable to a wide audience.
Sounds like you could also help the actors with their accents on last-minute script changes, which must come up all the time.
Constantly.
Fascinating. It sounds to me as if the smart producer will have a dialect coach on set whenever an actor is speaking with an accent that isn't their own.
Of course, I agree. But I feel as if I have been dominating the conversation and would like to hear more about you and what you do for a living.
My stock answer is that, like Tony Soprano, I'm in municipal and non-participle waste, but the truth is, I work for the government, and if I tell you any more, I'll have to, you know the rest.
Ha ha. Fair enough. It was really good talking to you.
Likewise, the pleasure was mine. See you around.
Cheerio.